Today, Mama is here to talk to you about registering to vote. This is about voting in the USA. If you live in another country, I strongly encourage you to find out how it works in your country, but this may not be really useful. Could be interesting, but not useful. If you're over 18 and you're a U.S. citizen, it is your right to vote in local, regional, state, and national elections in the U.S. Right now, it's late August of 2020, and we're coming up on our biggest national elections. In November, we will be electing all the way up to the President of the United States. In my opinion, it's also your responsibility. You need to pay attention to who wants to be part of your governing body and vote. And this is boring, and it's time consuming, and you think it's not going to affect you, but it is. And sometimes the effect is very obvious, and sometimes that effect is kind of indirect. But who's making the rules matters, and you should be paying attention and helping decide who makes those rules because you're going to have to follow them. I care about you. I'm here for you. And I think we need to participate in this system so that we can get it to work for us. Now, the first thing you have to do is register to vote. You may have done this when you turned 18. You may have done it since then. But you want to probably confirm and make sure you're in the system. So you can go to a website called vote.org, vote.org, and you can check in less than a minute. It also lets you know which address you're registered at. So if you've moved, you can keep that in mind because when you go to vote, they're going to check your ID and you need to have something that matches that address to go vote. Now, if you're a student and you're technically living in an apartment or a dorm room and your ID still has your parents' address, that's fine. Just leave it that way. As long as your ID matches, then you'll be fine when it's time to vote. However, you need to remember that this does influence where you vote. So if you're in one part of the country at school and your home address is in another part of the country, maybe time to get one of those absentee ballots you're hearing all about in the news. So in order to vote in the November elections, you need to be in the system by October 1st. Yes, depending on where you are in the country, that date varies. But if you're in the system by October 1st, then you'll meet all the requirements no matter what state you're in. So, as I mentioned, you might be away from home. This could be a little bit away from home, like I live in Texas, so Dallas to Houston is a few hours, but you probably don't want to drive a few hours just to vote. So you probably will need a mail-in or absentee ballot. This is something you have to apply for in advance and mail in with plenty of time. It's very big in the news right now about some concerns about slowdowns in the postal system. So you want to have plenty of time for those absentee ballots to get in. In the United States, we don't vote online. Now you can register to vote online. You can apply for the absentee ballot online, but you cannot vote online. So you registered to vote. You know the voting dates. For the United States in 2020, we're going to vote on Election Day, which is Tuesday, November 3rd. It is traditionally the first Tuesday of November. Why did they pick Tuesday? I don't know, because it wasn't Monday. Now, most states will have early voting, which means you'll have a couple of weeks before November 3rd that you can go to a nearby voting center and do your voting. I highly, 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 highly recommend this. The lines are shorter, there's more time to do it, and with the coronavirus pandemic that we're currently suffering from, by stretching things out and more people going to the early voting, that should help keep those lines down and allow you to stay 6 feet apart. Don't forget to take your mask when you go to vote. Also, if it's early voting, you can go to any voting center in your area, whereas on voting day, on election day, you have to go to your assigned voting center. Now, if you don't have a ride to go vote, ask around. I intend to give anybody in my area who needs a ride to vote a vote that I can. I found out that Lyft will help you pay for ride shares to vote, if you have a local bus or train, they may be willing to give reduced rides to vote. Look it up. Check the Google. But before you go vote, you got to do your homework. You got to find out who's running for what office and research what the candidates stand for. Now, you may not care who's running for railroad commissioner or all their details, but we're talking about a president here, governor, congressmen, senators. As I said, these people set the rules. All the way down to maybe you're just your local mayor. Local rules are important too. So look at as much information as you can get. If there are any issues that are important to you, you want to make sure that you're electing people, or at least voting for people, trying to elect people that are going to support those issues. Kind of silly to vote for someone who doesn't think the same way you are. Now, are you going to find the perfect answer, someone who believes all the things you believe and is the ideal candidate? Not very likely. It's just not going to happen. But you can find those that are closer to your way of thinking, which makes them more likely to set laws and rules that are closer to the way you think it should be. There's usually an option when you go to the voting booth to vote a straight party ticket. I don't recommend this. You may agree with a certain party candidate, but it doesn't mean you're going to agree with all those parties' candidates. So go through the list. Even if you end up voting for the same person, the same party in every category, it gives you an opportunity to walk through it, realize what you're voting for. You may not realize how many offices out there are elected. Judges are elected. I didn't know that till I was a grown woman. So it slows you down a little bit, takes a couple extra minutes, but please don't vote straight party ticket. Just choose. I want to make sure that everybody's getting out there and everybody's voting. Some people say your vote doesn't matter, and this just isn't true. In the 2016 elections, so 4 years ago, last time we voted for a president, only about 55% of the people who were eligible to vote did vote. And kind of less than half of those people voted for our current president. This all has to do with the Electoral College and all kinds of weird stuff. There's some great crash course videos on the election basics on YouTube. I really highly recommend Crash Course. That'll give you more details. But basically, 26% of registered voters voted for the president. And so that's not a majority. It's just a big lump of the people who actually bothered to show up. But if everybody shows up, then we can maybe elect a president who represents more of everybody. And if we don't vote those straight party tickets, we can get more representatives and more congressmen in there that also help represent to balance out the system. Checks and balances. It's your 3 levels of government. I think that would be great. I am absolutely, positively, never not telling you who to vote for. Or never telling you who to vote for. Not telling you. Something like that. This is your decision. It's your choice, based on your own personal opinions, your preferences, using your brilliant mind. I believe in you. I trust you. I know you can make a smart decision. And I'm just asking you to go out and make it. So take the time, do the research, and be part of the system. If you have any questions, go online. About any particular candidate, they put advertising up all over the place. I want to help us make a better world for you, because I'm here for you. As always, I hope some of this is useful for you. Leave any questions, suggestions, comments, requests in the comment section. I want to best support you. Let me know how. Mama loves you, sweetie, and you've got this.